In 2025, venture capital can't pretend everything is fine anymore. So let me zoom in on this. This is an opinion article, but there are some facts with references here. So we're going to read a bit of this, and this is going to give us some context as to what's actually happening out there, because this is something I don't see a lot of people talking about. Venture capital is screwed. A bubble in AI is their last hope, and they're betting everything on Sam Altman. It's heartwarming. I have said this before. The people who most promote AI, the AI hypists and the AI cultists, I've said it before on my X. You can find it. I'm not kidding. I said this. I already said this. These people who promote AI the most are the people who need it the most. They're the biggest promoters. They need AI because they know in a marketplace of actual meritocracy, skills, knowledge, hard work, etc., they don't stand a chance. So they need AI to scapegoat all of their poor decisions and all of their inabilities to use the brain that they were given to actually do something with their lives. And in some ways, part of it is like, you can even think of it as like a little bit societal. They want to like whatever, take over things that they felt were unassailable. And, people were raising the ladder up behind them. I've heard that a lot. And they use AI as a means to attack all of those. It's all stupid. It's just a coping mechanism. These people are all just coping. That's it. And VC funding is no different. Today, we have the PitchBook NVCA Venture Monitor for Q1 2025. You can actually get this. It's right here. It's an easy link. Just go grab it. You can read it all. I have read as much as I had time for, but I am so backed up on articles and time. I'm like actively looking for work and keeping up with the few contracts I have and everything. I didn't have time to read all of it. So I'm going to have to take some time and read all of it later, but it is here if you want to go look at it. This is the National Venture Capital Association telling its members how things are going. It's the view of VC from the inside. The front cover picture is the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's an oncoming streetcar. We covered the Q3 2024 report last year, the one that tried very hard to present bad news as okay news. The new report can't even do that. Here's the state of venture capital in early 2025. Venture capital is moribund, except AI. What is moribund? I'm curious. Can anybody guess what moribund is before I hit enter here? I'm just curious if we have like some super smart people, VC people in chat. What's moribund? Don't go Googling. I see you. Don't go Googling. Okay. You can't cheat off the top of your head. Go. No one knows. Forget it. It's over. You guys suck. Oh, you suck. Moribund. At the point of 404. Or lacking vitality or vigor. AI is moribund except OpenAI. OpenAI is a weird scam that wants to burn money so fast it summons AI God. Nobody can cash out. The report mostly blames venture's woes on President Trump and his tariffs, but venture capital's problems are systemic, and you could see them coming since the zero interest rate era. And they have no idea how to fix this. Not at all. The report's only plan for the future is to cross their fingers and hope. So apparently, right, they blame, things are so unstable because of Trump and the tariffs, and nobody can make a decision. Nobody can sit down and make a decision. Nobody can talk about liquidity, etc., etc. It's really difficult. Well, boo-hoo. And then we have zero interest rate, which, according to this author, they can't cope with. They can't cope with it. In 2008, the global financial crisis hit. Central banks use interest rates as the brakes on an economy, so they took the brakes off to make sure money kept flowing around. Interest rates went below 1%, and interest stayed near zero for over a decade. But zero interest meant that if you had to get returns, say you're a pension fund, then there were not a lot of places to invest. Venture capital was one place you could put money and get returns. This meant a flood of money into startups, and that meant all sorts of ridiculous startups got funding, businesses that lost money on every transaction. SoftBank was setting money on fire as fast as possible, ending in the disaster of WeWork. Does anybody remember WeWork? Yeah, what happened to WeWork? Oh, the tariffs shut down WeWork. Oh, Trump's tariffs shut down WeWork. Oh, borrowing money was almost free as well. Why not load up on debt? But then inflation came along and the Fed put interest rates back up and suddenly there was less money. Why put money into venture capital when you could get 5% just buying treasury bills? Venture capitalists were around before 2008, including a lot of the current guys, but it's like they completely forgot how to do anything without free money. The party's over, now it's time for the hangover. So we get hyped up tech bubbles praying for lottery level returns because ordinary business returns from, say, making a thing and selling it don't cut it. Our present hype fueled AI bubble is a complete worked example. Now, as if this isn't bad enough, because I can kind of see where this person's coming from. And they do present a little bit of evidence. So they have the St. Louis Fed here, which is exactly the chart that you might have seen as I was scrolling down. And you can kind of see the history of what happened with interest rates. And he makes a pretty compelling case. I'm not going to go out and say I'm some kind of like financial expert all of a sudden because I read this article. Although at this point, when everybody's trusting AI to do their finances and they're about to hand over their Visa card so that AI can automate their purchases, I might as well be a fucking financial expert, okay? I might as well be because I'm way better than AI. In any case, I'm not going to say that. I can see some truth behind what they're saying. The real kicker is that on top of all that, it all hinges on OpenAI. This year, the investors are all in on AI. Crypto's still dead. Quantum isn't taking off. AI is the last game in the casino. It's like Jehovah's Witnesses Armageddon. It's going to be here any minute, bro. Any minute. Just wait one more year. Just don't worry about it, bro. It's coming, bro. Since the late 1800s. And I'm not joking. You can go look that up. There's lots of graphs in this report showing healthy dollar amounts. These are mostly the $40 billion OpenAI deal led by SoftBank, and which we covered. We covered this, by the way. We went over a previous article that went deep into the money that's being kind of shuffled around. What would you say? It's being regurgitated between companies in the AI space who use it to buy data centers and keep themselves propped up because they're not actually making any money. They're not in the positive. They're vastly in the negative, and they're basically just trying to ride it out until they can make positive returns on the money that they're investing. Meanwhile, trillions. We went over an $8 trillion cost to data centers alone. Who's paying for that? In any case, almost all the graphs and statistics in this report are lies based on the one huge OpenAI outlier. Andrei Horowitz is right now raising a fresh $20 billion to try and keep the AI bubble going. VCs still believe the marketing brochure version of AI because they don't actually know anything about tech. Just as internet evolved from buzzword to business backbone, AI is following the same playbook. This is a quote. This is literally a quote. I had to go look this up just to confirm, right? I try not to take things for granted when I read articles. This is a quote from the VC funding report for quarter 1, 2025. Just as internet evolved from buzzword to business backbone, AI is following the same playbook. Eventually, it will likely infiltrate everything we do, Heather says, noting that companies are currently deploying AI as the corporate equivalent of a multi-purpose knife, starting with cost-cutting and mundane task elimination, but rapidly slicing into new territories. PitchBook says 57.9% of global VC dollars invested in quarter 1 went to AI and machine learning startups. I just want to state that again. 57.9, let's round it up. Let's say 60% of global VC dollars invested in quarter 1 went to AI and machine learning startups. Most of that, OpenAI. Even PitchBook calls it FOMO, fear of missing out. And they provide the reference. That is what's driving VC investment into these AI startups. That is what's driving the AI hypists and cultists. That is what is ruining our society currently. And I don't mean that as a joke. I mean that as a very serious, it is actually happening. I have shown it time and time again, and I believe most of you agree with me. Fear of missing out and flatline brains who have money putting it into the most ridiculous possible places that they could put it into and hoping that it pays off. Everything that isn't AI is moribund. Again, just in case you don't know what moribund is, at the point of 404, terminal decline. There is a world of startups outside AI, and in 2025, they're not having fun. Investors don't want to put money in them. First-time financing activity remains low, reflecting broader trends. Only $10 billion was raised across 87 VC funds, setting a pace for the lowest year of fundraising in a decade. Now, you add in an article that we went over last week where CEOs are jumping ship at an alarming rate, at a rate not seen since I believe it was the early 2000s. Early stage firms that don't get venture funding tend to get acquired early on instead of doing more rounds to pump up their imaginary value. Even when a fund gets investors, it can hardly find anywhere to put the money. One VC firm, Charles River Ventures, returned $275 million of uncommitted capital to its investors, and that was a shock to the world of VC. VC funding firms are firms where VCs, people with money, put their money into the VC funding firm and hope that the VC funding firm distributes that money in a way that gives them returns. So it's like a second order or third order effect here. The firms don't know where to put the money, so they just give you the money back. Thanks for your 275 mils. We couldn't find a company to invest in. Here you go. Number must go up. These companies have mostly imaginary valuations. Say they pay 10 million to get 1% of a company. That makes the company worth $1 billion, right? And not the 10 million of actual money it's got. The VCs jealously guard these imaginary valuations as big fat book entries they can trade with each other. Just don't ever look inside the box. Don't test what the market with actual dollars thinks the value is. Exactly. And this happens at a lower level. This is what happens with companies that produce React crap. For example, because they think that the money that they're getting for it determines the actual value. But the market and customer satisfaction is telling you a very different story. So it's looking like 2025 is not going to be, a good year in this respect. And then just to add a little bit of salt to that wound, nobody can cash out. They're not getting payouts. They won't put money in it anywhere else because they're not getting payouts. So if you're not getting a payout from anything beyond AI and you're an investor looking to invest money and get returns on it, what are you going to do? Nothing. What can you do? You're not going to get return anywhere else. So the only thing you can do is keep putting money into AI. That's it. So they're all screwed. They're all screwed. And, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that they talk about that basically just sums up the thing. But there you go. So even investors do not know what the hell they're doing right now. They're propping up absolutely everything that you're seeing with AI. And it's happening at a global level, which is it's mind-boggling to me that that's happening.